Support for WMNF comes from listeners like you and USF College of Public Health, committed to creating a world where health is accessible to all, communities thrive, and well-being is a priority. More at publichealth.usf.edu.
You are tuned to WMNF Radio 88.5 FM. This is the public affairs program called Community Speaks, and I'm your host, Patro Mabili. It has been almost 1 week since predominantly white voters re-elected a garbage candidate back into the White House. This time it was meant to punish Democrats. White voter, young black and Latino men claimed the economy was central to their vote. But the truth seems not enough voters were ready to elect a black woman as commander-in-chief. Economists have been warning us about the dangers of reigniting inflation and continuing the slide towards economic inequality if the garbage man keeps his promises. And these voters are showing through their vote how the vast right-wing message machine worked and that social issues are not relevant to them. The slide backwards on human rights, especially the rights of the LGBTQ community, women's rights, immigrants' rights, and civil rights is inevitable. Today is a postscript on the 2024 election as we move forward. And I want to get your voices to weigh in. You can call 813-239-9663 or write me at dj@wmnf.org. We got to start with a couple of voices that I heard over the past week that I just want to share with you. I usually don't play from television programs, but I'm going to let you hear what Sonny Hostin of The View had to say, followed by the mayor of Baltimore, and then I want to get your voices to weigh in. But I've been listening to black men over the past week, but also black women, to find out where they are right now socially and how they're doing emotionally. And, we know that at the end of the day, these elections play on your emotions, and both sides have done that. But especially politically, the right wing has been playing on emotions and trying to distract you from the real economic inequality, real economic crisis that has been taking place, but also to distract you from the progress that you've seen made, all because not enough voters were ready to elect this black woman to the highest office in the land. We go backwards. So let's listen to what some women had to say, at least this one woman had to say, over the past week. And following that, we will hear from the mayor of Baltimore, because I thought what his comments were important. Keep it tuned. This is Community Speaks here on your community radio station, WMNF.
Disturbed. I think if you look at the New York Times this morning, the headline was "America Makes a Perilous Choice." I think that in 2016, we didn't know what we would get from a Trump administration, but we know now. And we know now that he will have almost unfettered power. And so I worry, not about myself, actually. I don't worry about my station in life. I worry about the working class. I worry about my mother, a retired teacher. I worry about our elderly and their Social Security and their Medicare. I worry about my children's future, especially my daughter, who now has less rights than I have. And I remember my father telling me many, many years ago that I was the first person in his family to enjoy full civil rights. And now I have less civil rights than I had when he told me that. So again, I'm profoundly disturbed that the 14th Amendment of the Constitution did not prevent someone who participated in an insurrection from becoming president of the United States. I think that going forward, the convicted felon box on employment applications better be taken off, because if you can be the president of the United States then you should not be prevented from employment in this country, because I remember applying for my jobs as a federal prosecutor, and there was a box for convicted felons.
Well,
and so that box better be taken off. And I think our healthcare system is now at risk. I think
no fluoride for anyone.
Yeah, economists have made clear that he's going to increase the debt by $7.75 trillion. I'm worried about mass deportation and internment camps, and I'm also worried about Elon Musk warning Americans to prepare for temporary hardship. I'm surprised at the result, but I'm not surprised. As a woman of color, I was so hopeful that a mixed-race woman married to a Jewish guy could be elected president of this country. And I think that it had nothing to do with policy. I think this was a referendum of cultural resentment in this country.
Well, I think it...
And we're going to also take a listen to a speech from the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon M. Scott. He's the 52nd mayor of Baltimore, and he has been working to end gun violence and restore the public's trust in government and change that city for the better. We remember at least one police shooting there that changed the narrative in terms of what to do about killer cops. But let's listen to what the mayor of Baltimore, Brandon Scott, had to say as a postscript to this election. Keep it tuned. This is Community Speaks.
I'm obviously extremely disappointed in the results, but it is clear that there will be a second Trump presidency. It is really on my heart this morning to say that as a man, but more importantly as a black man, that this country does not deserve black women or black people, but specifically black women. This morning I woke up and I just gave my wife a hug, because I know how heavy this is weighing on black women. And they have carried this country and saved this country too many times, and continue to be the most disrespected human beings on the planet. And it, quite frankly, it disgusts me. I'm thinking about the world that we're going to bring our daughter into in a few months. And I want the vice president to know that her and her team did everything right in the right way. But the unfortunate reality is that this country is still steeped in racism, sexism, and misogyny. I am personally proud of her, and I know that so many others are the same. We appreciate her tenacity, her focus, her decency, and how she handled herself throughout this campaign. And I don't want to hear anybody saying that they should have done something different, she should have been running longer. The fact is that they did everything that a campaign can do and more. But we as a country really have a lot of soul searching to do. And that's really what I want to say about that today. But I want black women to hear from me, to know that as a black man, I am going to triple my efforts to lift them up, to make sure that they're supported, to make sure that they're seen, and to make sure that other folks are challenged into understanding that they alone can't be the soul of this democracy, and that they alone can't save us from ourselves time and time again.
That's right. This is Community Speaks, and that was the mayor of Baltimore, Maryland, and he was lamenting the treatment of black women and just how disrespected black women have been treated, especially in politics. And this latest showing when, a qualified black woman can't even get the respect in the form of votes over this monstrosity with all of that baggage hanging over him, then what woman or even what black woman could? So couldn't beat this candidate. Then there's something else going on. There's something else. This is a cult of personality that is really sweeping that party. And I don't know where they go from here, and I really don't know how we're going to navigate the next 4 years, but we're going to. Just like we navigated 4 years the last time this person was in office. But I want to take your telephone calls. A lot of people have been trying to weigh in over the past week, and I want to give you that opportunity to do so today. 813-239-9663 is the number to call, because, you know, it really is about where we're going from here. What is the message, and what exactly do you expect? We know I got some stories that I want to share with you about how things are already starting to fall apart, but looking at how other people have been voting, we look at how they voted and what do they expect. I mean, the majority Arab city angered at the administration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because of the Israeli-Hamas war. Well, what do you think is going to happen now? I think that is not only going to continue to deepen, but it's going to continue to widen. So you have a cultural monstrosity in office, coming into office in 2025. We look at climate change. We see that there's a big climate convention going on right now at the UN, and they're trying to calculate the curbing and the coping with climate warming, with global warming is going to cost trillions of dollars, and poor nations just don't have it. Experts say that they need about $1 trillion or more to continue to fight the global warming and curbing the emissions. So we remember the last time 45 was in office that he pulled out of the agreement on climate, the Paris Accord. So, you know, I don't know what the voters actually expected, except to send this message, this cultural message that we just weren't ready for a black woman. 813-239-9663. Go ahead, Daryl. Thank you for calling here.
Hey, how you doing, Mabili?
Pretty good.
This afternoon?
Pretty good.
Let me say this. It's a plethora of things that I would love to say. Actually, a continuation from Sunday, but I'll just leave it right here because we're on Monday right now. Mm-hmm. And I want to say this. If a two-time impeached, 39 or 24?
I've lost count. All I know is that if I was a felon, I couldn't run. I couldn't even vote in Florida.
Felon, and he was able to vote, but other felons cannot vote. Voted,
right?
Elected to the White House. Person can be elected. President can be in there. If he's going to pardon convicted people who stormed the Capitol a couple of years ago, gonna let them out. Jan 6, singing whatever. Then President Biden, I know he ain't gonna do it, because we seem to forget he was a moderate. If it wasn't for Jim Clyburn getting behind him in South Carolina, black women, along with black men, but black women, the base of the Democratic Party, put his tail in the White House. Okay? Mm-hmm. Then Biden, you need to turn around and pardon your son. Because I ain't afraid of what you did in your laptop, and I know he had personal problems. You need to go get help with your personal problems. Yes, you need to do that. But pardon your son. Get him out of jail. Pardon him. And number two, this being said that now they didn't against us, which is against Kamala Harris. No, they voted against us. America was not ready for a black woman. I totally agree with that gentleman. And the elephant that's in the room, Latinos, that nobody seemed to want to touch, didn't want to touch it on Sunday. Well, let's touch it right here. And they were saying, well, they weren't voting against us. They were just voting their own best interest. Let me say it again so I can say it clearly and succinctly. Somebody said they weren't voting against us, but they were voting their own best interest. Mabili, can I ask you, sir, what was their best interest?
Yeah, and going back down that road.
Yes, they don't all work in migrant. They are not all migrant workers, but there are a lot of people who pick cucumbers and tomatoes and carrots and other things out of the ground and pick up oranges and put them in orange carriers, going down the road, okay? And not all Latinos do that kind of work. They don't. But there are many of those in construction. What was their best interest when you got a guy who got on stage basically calling them trash of somebody who is from Puerto Rico that I know of from a job where I used to work, who I will not name, but you migrated from Puerto Rico who live here. He called you and the rest of Puerto Ricans trash. Trash. And you turned around, man, I understand machismo. You turned around and voted for that guy who called you trash. Educate me, because I don't understand. I'm just that stupid. What was your best interest?
Right.
And Mabili, why am I upset? Why am I shouting? I was born here. I'm an American citizen. By the way, people, Puerto Ricans are American citizens.
Right.
They live on that island. They can't vote for a representative, and they can't vote for president. If they migrate here, they can vote for president.
Right, and I think...
know you got a lot of callers. I'm going to get off the air. Hey, bye, Mabili. Bye.
Bye, Daryl. And I think why people, especially people of color, are upset when it comes to the Latino vote, especially the Latino male vote, is that people stood in solidarity with immigrants, and felt that it was just a racist attack on them, especially when they talk about not just the undocumented, but they talk about legal immigrants as well. So there are going to be people in some families who are going to be illegal, undocumented, while some in the same family are documented. And when you see your aunts and uncles starting to be deported, and whether or not he's going to keep that promise or not, again, it just goes to show you that this guy was making a bunch of statements on the campaign trail that he probably never will be able to carry out. And even if he tried to carry out, you have the Constitution to go up against. But when you have a Supreme Court that's ready to bankroll and rubber stamp everything you have to do and say from the right, then, a lot of people no longer have any trust in the courts. But the idea that we stood in solidarity, and especially with dreamers, especially with children who were born here or brought here as very young children by their parents, now one wonders if it's worth standing in solidarity with that anymore. I guess they're just going to have to see certain family members start to be deported before we understand just exactly what kind of monstrosity politically we're up against. 813-239-9663 is the number to call if you want to join the discussion. This is a postscript on the 2024 elections because the question is still burning. Why go backwards? Josh from Clearwater, you're on the air. You say what?
Yeah, obviously I'm in the camp of shock and awe, and fight has to continue, obviously, climate change, women's rights, all kinds of things. However, I did want to say something on your show in particular, because I know you're on the Sunday show also, and I heard that show yesterday morning, and I see a general theme that might be a mistake as we regroup and move forward. I can't tell you how many times I've heard you guys say, Black this, Latino that, over and over again. Black woman this, black man that. Reality says that the worker was not listened to. The price of housing, the price of buying a new house, the price of groceries, all of that stuff. I think as we regroup to fight the good fight, this idea of talking about race and black people and non-black people and Latino and woman and non-woman, it's got to go. That kind of rhetoric is why Donald Trump's president.
But it's not going anywhere.
If he complains so much about, or we complain so much about him dividing the country, don't we sound like elitists trying to divide the country amongst ourselves as well? Like blacks did this, why didn't the Latinos do that?
No, because
again,
why do you guys bring it up? Why do you guys continue the attack? You let your governors, you let this president attack people as garbage. You talk about them as criminals. The lifeblood of the country is poisoning, and you try to reduce the teaching of history and the teaching of truth because it made white people feel bad. Whites play identity politics more than anybody and try to hide it behind unworkable economic ideas that continue to fail, and it continues to create this pattern in U.S. politics that Republicans get in charge, they break it, Democrats have to come and fix it, the Republicans reap the rewards and break it again, while claiming they're not engaging in identity politics, while claiming they're not racist, when we can all hear the call from history. We could all hear the racism in your politics. You can't hide it anymore while claiming everybody else is bringing up identity for no reason.
No, I agree with you. I agree with everything you said. And again, it sounds very elitist. And I agree that Donald Trump's bad news, that we keep cleaning up after him. I agree with everything he said. What I'm saying is, that kind of messaging put Donald Trump in the White House.
Okay, thank you, Josh. I'm just not buying it. What put him in the White House is white voters. Quite frankly, white voters. Go ahead, Russell from Tampa. You say what?
Not really. Trump got 1 in 3 black and brown votes. They put him in the White House, period.
White voters put him in the White House.
No.
White voters put him in the White House. Listen to me. Black voters stood behind Kamala Harris, whether y'all wanted to admit it or not. White voters and black voters are on separate paths in this country. White voters chose to go backwards to fascism. Black voters continue to choose progress. And there are a few smattering of voters who went along with going backwards. They divided people of color. They divided in terms of Latino. So those votes were divided. But by and large, white people stood behind going backwards to
Are you going to listen to somebody who donates to the station?
We only have a little bit of time left. Go ahead, Larry from Tampa. You say what?
Yeah, I listened. Last night I heard a great montage of Joe Biden. And it was a montage about Bidenomics. And we all know throughout this country for the last 3-4 years, inflation has killed us at every different corner, whether it's rent, whether it's groceries, whether it's gas lines, whatever it is. But the montage was Bidenomics. And I think that this country just got so fed up with the media telling us that the Democrats and Biden were doing a good job, and we all knew they were not. And the sad part about it is that the Democrats didn't even get to vote for Harris. It was the Democratic elitists who put her
There's that
on.
word again. Where is the proof in all of that? Because the bottom line is we are trying to figure out where is the logic in going backwards to the Trumponomics. The bottom line is there is a vast media, right-wing media outlet that drowned out any other messaging. It's, we've seen this build up over decades. It has its roots in the church house, in the white church. The televangelists began to transmit a lot of their politics. This kind of politics decades ago gave us the rise of Reagan and the moral majority, and now we're starting to see the dividends from that in terms of the culture wars. We saw Fox News become a specific organ of the Republican Party. And then you have Elon Musk and his purchase of Twitter, and now using that as a propaganda tool. You've got Russia weighing in, helping the right wing in this country propagandize their message. Any progress that the Democrats have been making, because I don't care, Wall Street and white people understood what inflation, what was happening on the inflation front. They know that inflation has come down during the Democratic administration, and to say that it's elitist to talk about it is just more of this propaganda that has been coming from the right to drown out any truths. And so we're not going to play that game today on Community Speaks. There are a lot of callers. Let me go back to the phone lines and see what Daniel has to say out of Seminole. Go ahead, Daniel. You say what?
Yeah, I say that what we're missing here is the human problem that happened with Joe Biden. I got to say that I think that it was a crucial mistake for Biden to go for not be a one-term president and say that from the beginning. If he would have said that, here he is, a 50-year-old elder in the government that could have helped establish the guidelines for the protection that we need against people like Trump, and opened it up for a primary at the very beginning. Whoever it was, could have been Harris that would have got the nomination, could have been anybody. But they made that mistake. And Joe, as an elder, the mistake was he let his pride and his ego get in the way. He said when he thought, I beat Trump the first time, I don't think he even ever assumed that Trump would be able to be qualified to run. I didn't think he thought he would have that worry. But his ego, when it was Trump, then it was, I alone can beat him, and that started the mess. We should have had a president that was what he said he was, a transition president, and come up with the programs that we needed, and we didn't get that.
Okay, and while he was doing the work, now the Republicans should be making the same assessment. They got the oldest person who is sounding unhinged and don't make a whole lot of sense and hasn't done anything economically to fix any problems, and yet everybody who voted for him seem to have forgotten that the same criticisms they have for Biden, they ignore for Trump. So
because they know they can manipulate him.
Okay, whatever. But the fact of the matter is, if you're going to allow yourself to be manipulated over and over again, then there's something wrong. There are a lot of people who came out to vote this time. You know, we saw the Republicans slide, except in Florida during the midterm elections, and that's when Biden said he would probably decide to be a one-term president during that midterm, but saw that there was a whole lot of support. The red wave didn't come. There was actually a blue wave. And yet, when you put Trump back on the ballot, then you have all of these people that come back out in support of Trump. And really and truly, a lot of these people, we've been going round and round over the last week about the economic messaging and how nonsensical it made to go back to Trump. But there are a lot of people who, just because he was on the ballot, voted. And it's a cult of personality, really, that they don't want to admit to. A lot of them say they have such a connection to Trump that they can't even put it into words. And that's scary. 813-239-9663 or DJ at WMNF.org. Go ahead, Amy in St. Pete. You say what?
Oh,
Hi, this is Amy in St. Pete. I have a couple of points to make, so if you allow me the time, I'd appreciate it. It's all very convoluted. It's interesting that because I come from a background of Democrat voting, I've always registered Democrat, been raised, born, all that. So the Democrats I see, speaking from my own group, that they don't take a good look and analyze their own problems. It's so convenient that they couldn't come up with any, talking points on what people are voting for when they're voting for Democrats. It's all convoluted. We were only voting against Trump. That was it. It wasn't voting for, say, your right to proper health care, which was a big deal. Now we're going to have, alternative health care is going to rise to the forefront where it should, where people should be taking action to take care of their own bodies. Women, as a feminist, women should have the right to care for their own body, whether they need a right to choose. Okay, there we go. That's a good one. But what about the right to not have a vaccination, especially if you think you might be pregnant? I mean, I want to have the right to choose what goes in my body on every level. The other thing,
you don't have to take a vaccine.
The issue of women's right to sport. Women should have the right to have sports with women, not with people who have an advantage. Men who can still be intact and not, just because you have ovaries, it's not really enough. The testosterone testing is not all there. Men have had a chance for their bodies to develop muscle. They clearly have an advantage. Women in sports should be able to have their dressing rooms where they can go and change, get ready, shower without having somebody else there, like a man who's just, this is happening. People might think when they're hearing me that it's over the top. No, it's real. It is real. I come from a base of Democrats, and I'm willing to say my team needs to up their game, and they need to get with reality and find out what is really happening to our rights, because our rights are going bye-bye. Right to health care, right to choose what you want done with your body, and right to have women in sports. I mean, we have so many men out there. I love it. There's all these men out there talking about women having the right to sports. It's amazing. I love it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. And, women said they wanted to play on men's football teams. And, that was controversial, but it didn't require people to lose basic human and civil rights in the process. And now you talk about the idea of a trans man playing in the women's sports. But the fact of the matter is, hormones is a major issue there, and they're just not the same muscle mass that you think a man has. But again, these are cultural issues, not economic issues. And if that's what you were voting for, then that's what people need to admit to, but not claim that Trump is some financial genius that's going to dig us out. He's just going to make matters worse. Ron from Mango, you say what?
I was going to say good to that conversation I just heard, but anyway, moving on and stepping it on up a little bit. I saw it as it was from the beginning, but, we was trying to make it in whole face for the American people and for the American public, and they just spit in your face with it and tell you all kind of lunacy as you're hearing now, that it's your fault. The victim is further getting victimized. Mm-hmm. That's what happens, except for in the case of WP or privilege. You see, the WP got privilege, so the WP ran this scam that we're going to make it a fair and free. But before that, if you watch Fox News, they already was precursoring it by saying Mr. President in the debate. I had already brought that out, so many people had seen that. And we took it for the clue that it was. So we played the little Scrabble game. Now that Scrabble's over, what are we, the people, going to do? That's the question. And it's been the question, been being the question for a while. Because nobody's bemused or confused, really, by what is taking place. It's the same old damn thing since the 1930s. And when you say go backwards, when have you progressed anywhere? I hear the same sentiment you used against my pappy. my granddaddy. And further back, and further black, and further back, and further black. So we're not saying anything. You're making all these suggestions. The man said it himself. The Spanish people are going to take your job. You're always using us like a little pony ride, baby. The ride is over, man. Get your own and stop riding mine. And so that's what the word and the message is, and we can get it together. Well, you going on over there with your little fake space, man. Fake space stuff. You're going over there. Because y'all playing games with people. And furthermore, he ain't going to do a damn thing because all this stuff tore up around here. Somebody came through, the big Rick came through and hit it. Before, it was a precursor to show people that there's something a little powerful at play here. A little more powerful than you can sense, I'm pretty sure. So let's see how it is, all this debris, all this, what I told my son, fungus in the air, all these pollutants, all these retardants in the ground, and then our food even worse. What you say you going to do? What you say? Who going to do what? When y'all get together, give me a call. I'll be at this number. Mabili.
Hey.
Yeah, tell them when they get it together, because I don't see where they get nothing together. I see where the good businessman, you're a damn good businessman for self, which is good. Individually, good, yeah. Well, I don't see no collective nowhere in the picture. Collective what? Yeah. Collectively, we what?
Collectively backwards is what I'm seeing in people.
Collectively, we dumb. Yeah. Collectively, we supposed to be smart as hell. We're supposed to be moving the rails, moving the goalposts ourselves, not somebody moving the goalposts against us. Look like a corporate takeover when you got everybody aligned, all of the little pieces to go together to take people's rights away, to take the lights away, to put us in darkness. The dark age is the dark age is why you naming the dark though.
I know.
I'm the light of the world. I'm the light of the world. I don't know. Hey, Mabili, I look at it like that. I keep seeing it. I don't care what they do. You're the light of the world, bro. I see the light of the world in all y'all darkness.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pathetic thing, but it's a reality check because, you know, we need to check because so many people, all those who, my cousins, the Big Rick would have been happy to be alive. He died before this album. Boy, he was a Trump mouse, and he and I would always stop at, man, Trump love, Trump going to do something for the country. Yeah. That's how he talk. Man, he ain't doing nothing. Democrats ain't. Oh, there we go. Let's stop.
It's simplistic, yeah. I mean, it's
I'm out. I just can't. This is black people talking on black. They don't know what the hell they talking about. We talk about that bull crap, too. And I'm telling you straight up, either way, it's ignorant. This dude not effing nobody. He tried to cut the vet. He gonna cut the vet. He tried to cut Social Security. Gonna cut. He doing all that nasty stuff to people. I don't care who they is. And so what he gonna do? Nothing. No
wasn't responsible for your stimulus either.
That was a scam. They're all that scamming us out of stuff. And he took the taxes to do that. Took everybody taxes. Gave you a piece of your shit back. You got a stimulus, really? You got stimulated.
Let's see what other people have to say. Ron, thank you. You're always entertaining, but it's always true. But we know that there are a lot of low information voters out there. But my mind has been on the women this morning. We're looking at Supreme Court in Wisconsin talking about going back to an 1849 abortion ban. That's going to remain valid. This is a galloping backwards. Let's go and see what John and Lutz has to say. Go ahead, John. You say what here on Community Speaks?
Hey, good morning, Mabili, and thank you for taking my call. Thank you for your great show.
Thank you, John.
Listen, I've got a hypothesis, and I wonder what you think of it. I'm thinking that the CEOs, you know, the oligarchs, they raise the prices when there's Democrats in charge to make the Democrats look bad, and then when they lower the prices when a Republicans get in charge to make everybody think that the economy is doing great. They lower the price of eggs 50 cents. They lower the price of gas 10 cents a gallon. I'm thinking that, and it's because the Republicans Trump gives the ultra-rich oligarchs, big tax breaks while we all don't get any tax breaks. And the Democrats say we need to tax the rich with fair taxing, and the ultra-rich don't like that. So I'm thinking that they're manipulating our elections and they're manipulating our economy and it's because of Citizens United. And I'm wondering what you think of that.
Yeah, I think you might be on to something. I mean, we know that there are people who are going around the world like trying to manipulate things. We know that it's important for them to show oil. For instance, gas prices are coming down. You're right about that. So there is this need. They talk to Saudi Arabia. They talk to the OPEC countries in order to help them make a decision on whether they're going to limit production or increase production, which would be a direct impact on the prices at the gas pumps. And so these things take place before elections. We have a story today about how Putin is denying having discussions with Trump. So why deny that? Because they're making plans and having discussions they don't want you and I to be privy of. That happened in Helsinki. Remember when Putin met with Trump behind closed doors? Only one translator in the room, and I'm certain she was threatened with her life if she told what was said. There were two Russians that came to the White House and talked in private. So there's a lot of manipulation of prices, especially around the world. And Putin understands more than anybody how his own economy was saved by commodities boom in 2008, just as the world was digging out of the last economic crisis. And so I'm certain he's trying to recreate that same kind of boom and lecture Trump on how to do the same thing. Putin forced all of those companies to come back, bring their assets back to Russia. That's pretty much the same thing you're seeing in the tariff threat. Is American companies going to pay those tariffs if they don't bring their headquarters back to the United States and hire American workers and manufacture out of the country? But they left because they didn't want to pay U.S. workers' wages. So it's a problem. And they're constantly out there manipulating prices so that they can push that manipulation on you and me, the consumer.
Yeah, the grocery companies and the oil and gas companies are raking in record profits. And so I think what we need automatic voter registration, and this is the big one. We need 100% mail-in ballots, the way they do in the state of Oregon, where they regularly have an 80% participation rate.
Yeah. Hey, well, thank you.
We're being manipulated like pawns in a chess game, and the oligarchs are controlling our economy and our election.
And the messaging machine, the whole messaging machine that is out there. I mean, the fact that's the only thing that really explains how the economic failures of 45 has translated into even winning the popular vote in this recent election, 2024. Thank you, John.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Kelly, I'm going to go and see what Kelly has to say. This is Community Speaks, just trying to get a postscript on what happened in the election of 2024, how disinformation and the idea that a lot of the slide against human rights is happening right before our very eyes, right here. And of course, as the last caller pointed out, the total manipulation of the economies between these countries that have these policies, backward policies, but need to make their populations think they're actually solving economic problems. Go ahead, Kelly in Tampa. You say what?
Thank you, Mabili.
Thank you.
I have one word, and I'll repeat it 4 times on the spirit of my grandparents. I'm 82 years old. Shame. SHAME.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I thank you for your call, and I feel you. I feel you on that, Sister Kelly. 813-239-9663 is the number to call. Want to get a postscript on this election? What is the hope? What is the message you were sending, and what's the hope going forward? Because there's a disconnect between the two. There's an emailer who wrote, you can email me at dj@wmnf.org. Emailer said there are many important black women and men who voted against genocide. And that's true. There's so many people, as I said, who stood behind Harris and so many people who want to go backwards, who stood behind the backward candidate. We're going to get back to the music next hour with It's the Music Monday. But right now, we're trying to get a postscript on the election of 2024 here in the United States, which has reelected Donald Trump. And the world is responding. The world is trying to create, give itself some idea of what to do with this guy coming back into power. Go ahead, Kateria in Palm Harbor. You say what?
Yeah, it's Katira, but that's okay.
I'm sorry. Thank you.
That's fine. So, yeah, I voted for Harris, and I'm a white, I guess, older hippie girl. So, anyways, the only thing I really wanted to say was that the Bibles that Trump was selling are actually made in China. So, I mean, the whole thing just seems so hypocritical.
Contradiction.
You know.
I know.
So,
I thank you for that. And, you know, I think his daughter also had some designs, some logos that were made in China for her clothing business. But so it's just,
And it's okay for him to be a criminal, but not for other people to be criminals.
Right.
So it just doesn't make any sense, none of it.
None of it. None of it at all.
So we're going to pray for the best, you know, that's all I can say.
Yeah, well, I like what a lot of voters, especially voters of color, women of color, said, we tried, but now we're tired. Thank you for Palm Harbor.
I know. I'm on your side. I'm a hippie, but, you know, I get discrimination too. But
I know.
Like, you know, it's a weird comparison, but, you know.
But I've seen it. I've seen what you're talking about, you know, because of the way you dress, you know, the counterculture. They were just as evil towards you as they were towards me.
Right, and American Indians, and, you know, the list goes on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably where the solidarity what we need is going to have to come from.
I know.
That's going to be the way out of this, solidarity.
That's right, yeah. Gotta just keep hanging in there. And
that's right.
Okay.
Don't give up on our own power. Yeah.
Don't give up. That's right. Don't give up. So we do what we can at the local level, you know.
Right.
As much as anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's an important point. That's a very important point, especially here in Florida. We seem to have forgotten that.
Yeah. And the rent control, somehow somebody needs to do something about rent control. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not real good at politics.
No,
I don't know.
But you're raising an important point, and that's, again, an important thing for the local power structure, because I think landlords and property managers just have too much power. They could do too much. They could put people in the street and don't have to explain themselves. Yeah, they got too much power.
Right. There's no heart or soul in it. You know, it's really sad, and, you know.
Yeah. But we can fix it.
Yeah. It just makes me wonder, like, how more people voted for what they voted for. You know, that just tells me where this country is going.
Yeah.
You know, now when I go out to the grocery store or anything, I'm real careful about who I talk to now, because I'm like,
you gotta be.
I don't know who these people are.
I don't recognize these people anymore.
It's like some of those old 50s movies, the Mars Attacks, you know,
or an old bad episode of The Twilight Zone.
Right. Exactly. Well, thank you for taking my call.
You're welcome. Thank you for calling. And we could laugh about these things, but it's very serious, because people are trying to make sense of what we've seen happen and why we've seen it. But I'm pretty convinced that a lot of those voters are just spectators watching The Apprentice. They're watching The Apprentice White House episode, White House edition, and it's just Trump's reality show, and he really doesn't know or care what he's doing. He's not even that engaged in the transition, and he wasn't the last time, and he's not that engaged in global affairs. no more than he will be this time. Putin is the real winner. Elon Musk is the real winner. Go ahead, Ryan in Seminole. You say what?
Yeah, well, we've heard of genocide. Now we've got menticide, which is what happens when, the world becomes more populated and everything becomes more competitive, and the corporations and all the lawyers from the corporations, they love it. So when capitalism goes bad, this is what we get. We get menticide, where people's minds get hijacked because they can't pay their bills. And that's what the corporate lawyers are just giggling away. And
yeah, but they couldn't pay their bills between 2016 and 2019. They could pay their bills between 2016 and 2019.
Yeah,
they can't.
There's too many people on the planet, and that's putting a squeeze on everybody. All right, thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey, thank you for your call. There's been some emailers that said they heard part of the conversation, and this email says many patients over 25 years, I guess they've seen many patients in many races, and they talk with this person and they like to discuss their politics, and all people of color speak with. The vast majority see that Harris is simply a token. Yeah, I'm certain that there's that idea out there. There's people who are listening to the same manipulative messaging coming from the right wing. You don't think Trump is a token? A lot of people claim they voted for him, don't like him, don't like the thing he's saying, doesn't agree with his economic program. So clearly it's just a cult of personality that you're responding to, and you've imposed it on the rest of us. Black voters feel like they stand alone right now. There was a small number of black men and a number of Latino men who went and voted for the toxic personality, the toxic male agenda against a woman. But there are a lot of people who completely admitted they would not vote for a woman. And they'll admit that. We know that they're just as many of a number of people who would not vote for a black woman who did not vote for a black woman. This is not at all about economic hardships. This was about perceived golden age on the part of these voters who said that Trump gave them a stimulus and that 2016 to 2019 was some kind of an economic golden age, without giving credit to Barack Obama for his recovery of the economy and handing it off to a Trump who thought COVID was a hoax and decided that he wasn't going to respond to it until he was forced to do so. I just think that, we need to wake up. We need to get woke again in this country. But right now, we're going to get on out and make room for Blaney Whalen to get back to the music. 2 hours. Grammy nominees coming up here on WMNF Radio. And so you want to stay tuned, of course, for that. But I'm going to get on out and make room. But we don't stop the movement. We have to keep the movement going. We have to stay in solidarity with one another. And, of course, tune in tomorrow for the show, the Tuesday Cafe. There's going to be more discussion that you want to stay abreast of. Get on out, make room. This has been Community Speaks. Thank you. WMNF Tampa.
For mind control carried on mainstream media platforms to rattle y'all. But I can't be shook by the White House. Never go the right route. Dash the right route. Bury me a G for gorilla and I climb out with the 9 out. No time for time out. Get up. Get up, 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 get up. Don't stop the movement. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Don't stop it. Get up, 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 get up. Don't stop the movement. Don't stop it.
The scoop's coming next, and then we'll get back to the music here on WMNF Tampa.